kids, it wasn't like Nick was a bad guy. He was a Christian, so why did her parents have to be so restrictive? It was their fault that she had to sneak out like this, Kara told herself. They weren't leaving her any other choice. She furrowed her brow with resolve and tiptoed to the door. Salvation. "There's more to life than baseball," Brian said through his mouthful of Egg McMuffin. He and Matt were huddled over their breakfast in a corner of the restaurant, which was bustling with other friends and families grabbing their pre-church breakfast and coffee. "Not my life," Matt retorted. They both laughed. Matt's name was practically synonymous with baseball. He'd been playing since age 8 and was presently the starting shortstop on his college team. When he wasn't playing, he was training. You couldn't talk to him without being barraged by the latest news from the sports page. Matt lived for the game. This Sunday, however, Matt's laughter only thinly veiled his unease. He'd been meeting with Brian every Sunday morning for 2 months now, and their conversations had probed progressively deeper. Their small talk about baseball, college, and friends had steadily yielded to Brian's favorite subject, his faith in God. Matt had always thought of himself as a Christian, so he dismissed much of this talk as being familiar turf. After all, his parents were Christians and he regularly attended church. He had a Bible and knew most of the stories. What more did Brian really have to say? But something was different today. Matt felt a sense of awe as Brian described the significance and meaning he attached to his faith. It was no casual belief. Brian's faith defined his life. And Brian was cool. Matt had grown up around plenty of adult Christians, but he'd never met a Christian like Brian, someone his own age who was joyful and intelligent and had such passion and certainty about his life. Matt had come to deeply respect his friend. He wanted what Brian had. Every word Brian spoke this morning seemed to pierce his heart. Brian was right. Matt knew he had been defining his life by the wrong things. Now, as he spoke with Brian, he sensed the light of a new dawn breaking in his heart. Brian had shown him that genuine, deep, and significant faith was within his reach. The excitement rose in his soul. He had to tell Brian what he was feeling. Matt set aside the remains of his forgotten sandwich, leaned eagerly across the table, and started to share. Popularity. Every girl in Jackson Community College seemed to be enamored of Eric. Every day when Tim walked into his freshman literature class, he saw a whole pack of them surrounding Eric's desk, giggling and smiling and throwing him shy looks. It was unbelievable. Less than 2 weeks into the school year and Eric already had the standing of a Greek god. He was popular with the guys, too. Tim never saw him without a gaggle of worshipful, tag-along friends. Tim couldn't blame them. Eric had it all: 6'3", linebacker on the football team, a charming sense of humor, and a heavily muscled body. Tim took a seat in the back corner of the classroom and watched as Eric recounted one of his drunken escapades from Friday's party. Guys and girls alike erupted in riotous laughter. Tim sighed with envy. Tim had always been in the popular crowd at his Christian high school, where he'd played sports, served in the student government, and led Bible studies. He'd had high expectations of celebrating his newfound freedom and new friends in college, but so far, he just felt lost in the crowd. Hardly anybody knew who he was. Tim was quickly discovering that his faith didn't earn him much popularity here because Christians were few and far between, and the popular circles mostly revolved around the party scene. The fact was, he just wasn't enjoying his college life so far. Serious Christianity and secular college didn't seem to mix well. Maybe he should loosen up a little. He was young and still learning about himself, so why couldn't he experiment? That's what college was about, right? There would be time to get serious later. Why not enjoy himself now? Eric cracked a crude joke, and the gathering around his desk laughed once more. Tim found himself laughing too. Eric was funny. Tim looked around, took a deep breath, then rose to join the circle.